In today's video, we will see how we can use arrays within structures. Now, just like we need to have arrays in any ordinary program, similarly, we need to have arrays in structures also. The basic reason is the same here also, right? And what is that reason? That we want to store the collection of a particular entity together. Like there are 30 students, so I cannot declare each and every student separately as a variable. So I declare it as an array variable having a size 30. This is why we use arrays, so that we can collectively store information about a particular entity within a program. Now, how do we use arrays within structures? Now, till now, we all know that structures are used to describe the format of a number of related variables. By format, I mean the members that I define for a particular structure. And related variables means those all variables would belong to the same structure. So, format means the members, and related variables means all the variables belonging to the same structure. So, if say for example, this is the format of a structure named as marks. So all the variables that would be belonging to this structure will have the same format. That means they will have all the same members, that is subject 1, subject 2 and subject 3. Now why do we need to have arrays? We have discussed this earlier also, and I discussed it right now also. When we want to collectively store information regarding an entity for a large number of collection, in that case we use arrays, right? Now, if I take the example of this particular structure, here I want to analyze the marks of students of a class, right? So, for analyzing the marks of a student of a class, it would be quite impractical if I write struct marks student 1. Then again I say student 2. Then I say student 3. Now, here I have taken the dimension as 3. But in practical, in real life, the number of students in a class won't be 3. It will be more than 3, right? So for 30 students, say for example, if I have 30 students in a class, I cannot keep on writing student 1, student 2, student 3 till 30. That is quite a tedious task, and that is not practical and very time consuming also. To avoid that, we use arrays. So here simply for a class of 30 students, now I can write student 30. Like here I have written student 3, similarly I can write struct marks student 30. So it solves my problem. I have an array of 30 students whose data type is marks. That means they belong to the structure marks. So first of all, I define the structure, the keyword struct, to tell the compiler that it is a structure. Marks is the tag name or the structure name. So I know that this is the name of this particular structure. Now this is the format of the structure. The members that are given for the structure describe the format of the structure. So now all the variables that will belong to this particular structure will have all these three members for sure. That means they will strictly follow the same format if they are belonging to this structure. So now if I want to declare a variable at the time of structure definition, then I write student 3 here simply. So the compiler knows that this is a student variable named as student, which is of type array having dimension 3, and it belongs to the structure marks. But if I am initializing and declaring this variable separately, not at the time of definition, then this is how I do it. Within my void main, I write the keyword struct again to tell the compiler that this is a structure variable that I am declaring right now. Okay. After the keyword struct, I give the tag name of the structure to tell that this particular variable would belong to this structure. Then I give the name of the variable. Here the name of the variable is student, and since it is an array, so I need to give the dimensions of the variable also. So here the dimension is 3. Now 3 means total number of students is 3. Student, the dimension of student here is representing the total number of students in the class, which is 3 here. Now simultaneously, after declaring the variable, I have initialized the variable also. So there are 3 students, and for each student there are 3 subjects, right? 3 students, and each student variable will have these 3 members for sure. That means for each student there are 3 subjects. So for the student 1, there are 3 subjects. that is subject 1, subject 2 and subject 3. So I have initialized the marks of all these three subjects. So the first student has obtained 45 marks in the subject 1, 68 marks in the subject 2 and 81 marks in the subject 3. Similarly, student 2 has obtained 75 marks in subject 1, 53 marks in subject 2 and 69 marks in subject 3. Then moving on for the student 3, that is for the third student, he has obtained 51 marks, 56 marks in the subject 1, then 37 marks in the subject 2 and then 71 marks in the subject 3. So I have declared my array and initialized it at the same time. So basically this declares the student as an array of three elements. These elements are the students: student 0, student 1 and student 2. Now this thing I told earlier also, that the indexing for an array starts with 0. I do not start with 1, the indexing starts with 0. So student 0, student 1 and student 2, and I have initialized their members also. The subject 1, subject 2 and subject 3 are their members, and I have initialized them to 45, 68, 81, 75, 53, 69, 56, 37 and 71 respectively, right? Now how does this look like in the memory? In the memory it would look like this. So the array student actually looks like this inside the memory. It goes on like this. So these three are for the student 1, right? For student 1, the marks of subject 1, then the marks of subject 2 and the marks of subject 3. Then for student 2, the marks of subject 1, marks of subject 2 and marks of subject 3. Similarly for student 3, marks of subject 1, marks of subject 2 and marks of subject 3, because we all know that in memory the data is stored in contiguous memory locations. That means we would not leave any blank in between. Contiguously this data is stored in consecutive memory locations. So first location, second location, third, fourth and so on. So in the memory it would actually look like this: 45, 68, 81, 75, 53, 69, 57, 36 and 71, though it is representing the subject marks of three different subjects for three different students. So actually it is representing this thing: student 1 and these marks, then student 2 these marks, and student 3 these marks for all the three subjects. So this is how it looks in the memory. So the array student inside the memory would look something like this. Okay, so this is how you initialize and declare array within structures. Now by now you must have realized that the array is declared just as it would have been with any ordinary array, any other array. Now since student is an array, we use the usual array accessing methods here also, right? How would you access an array, an ordinary array? How would you access it? You would do student in case of an ordinary array it would have been like student 0, I'm sorry, it would have been like student 0 or student 1 or student 2, right? But since this is a structure, so in case of structure, how do you access the variables? You access the variables by joining them with the members with the dot operator in between. So that means here how would you access the arrays? In the same manner, the only difference being that here you would use the dot operator. So what you would do, suppose you want to access the marks of first subject for the first student. So how would you do that? Student, if I am talking of the first student, the indexing would start from 0. So I will write student 0, which is the variable name, then a period operator or a dot operator, then the member name. Which member I want to access? The subject one. So I will write subject one. So this is how I will access these arrays in case of structure. Student 0 dot subject 1, which is representing the marks of subject 1 for the 0th students, right? So you access it in the same manner as you access for any structure. In case of structures, how do you access? The variable name dot the member name or the individual member. Okay, so this is how you will do in case of arrays also for structures, that you will give the variable name. Here the variable is an array and the indexing for an array starts from 0. So if it is an individual array element, how will you do? Say for example, if you want to access the marks for the subject 1 of first student, so how will you do? Student 0 dot subject 1. So this represents the marks for subject 1 of the first student or the 0th student. So this is how you would access the array in case of a structure also. So each element of the student array is a structure variable. You can see here the student is an array and its data type, just like an array has a data type integer or float, similarly here this particular array student has the data type marks, because it belongs to the structure marks. So it has the data type struct marks. Alright, and then how many members does this variable have? This variable is having 3 members in total. This variable is having 3 members in total. This you can see here. Member 1, member 2 and member 3. So there are 3 variables, 3 members in total for this particular structure variable. Okay. So an array of structures, basically I told you how it looked inside the memory. There are contiguous memory locations. So sequentially all the data would be stored. So it would be stored like this, as I told you, 45. So all this data would be stored in the memory like this: 45, 68, then 81, then 75, then 53, then 69, and so on till the last element, because they are stored sequentially. Why sequentially? Because they are stored in contiguous memory locations. So this is all about how you can use arrays within structures.